welcome to our beginning Tai Chi class. We will start with a little breathing exercise with our standing meditation. So get your feet facing forward. Place the hands gently over the lower abdomen, a couple inches below the belly button. And allow the crown of the head to rise in a relaxed manner. Let the chest kind of sink and keep the shoulders relaxed. Just gently direct your breath to that center point. As you inhale, you feel the expansion into the hands. And as you exhale, just relaxing any tension in the body. And we'll close. And let's begin with our 8 brocades. Just to warm up, we are going to inhale and lift hands to heaven. Exhale down. Inhale. And exhale. And one more. And close. All right, get into our wide horse stance. Draw the bow and arrow. We have our hands in front. We will sink down, exhale, and pull the bowstring. Then we inhale up, exhale. Inhale up, exhale. One more in each direction. And close. Very good. Separate heaven and earth. Allow the hands to face up, and we will exhale, press up and down. Inhale gently, bringing the hands to the side and to the middle. Exhale, separate heaven and earth. Inhale, exhale. Let's do one more in each direction. And close. good. Next, owl gazes backwards. Place the hands palm down to start. As we exhale, we rotate the hands and look over our shoulder. And inhale back to the middle. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more in each direction. And close. Get back into our wide horse stance, hands placed over the legs. We will bow the head and wag the tail. For this, we turn the body, gently hinge, stay low. As we exhale, and then inhale back up. Turn and exhale down. Inhale up. Do one more in each direction. And close. Next, we will bend over to release the waist. We place the hands over the lower back. Take a breath in. Exhale, let the hands glide over the back of the legs, down to the feet. Pause at the bottom. Then inhale up. Exhale to the sides. Inhale to your back to start again. Exhale down. Pause at the bottom. Inhale up. Exhale down. Do one more. and close. All right, back into our wide stance again. And for this one, we're going to be sinking into a depth that's comfortable for you. Bring both of your hands to the sides. Inhale into the stomach. Exhale, tighten your fist and punch forward. Inhale, bring it back. Let's clench the fist and glare fiercely. One more on each side. And close. And we'll finish with the heel drop. All we're going to do is gently inhale, raise your heels up. And exhale, do a little drop. And inhale. Exhale. We'll do one more. And close. Very good. Okay. So we're going to start today with a little focus on the bow stance. So that's one of the most common stances in Tai Chi that I think I looked at it one time at all the moves. About 70 or a little over 70% of the movements in Tai Chi forms are done in this stance. So right now we're in our natural stance. To get into the bow stance, we open our foot 45 degrees, step forward. And the bow stance typically is going to have the weight more forward, about 60%, but it does fluctuate. And so we're going to be moving our weight forward and backward. And as we do that, we're going to review, and for some of you, if you new, go over a pattern or some terminology I call open and close, or opening and closing the hips or the waist. So it'll help to place your hands on the pelvis just to be aware of where it is. Keep a nice neutral position of the pelvis, meaning we don't want our pelvis to be overly tilted forward or overly tucked. We want to be somewhere right in the middle. So the back, everything is pretty straight. And the crown of the head is nice and tall. And we will do an open-close exercise. So you don't want to take too big of a step. Make sure this foot is just comfortably in front of you, somewhere that naturally your foot will set. So this is a little, maybe a foot to a foot and a half forward. We want to keep a nice channel between our feet. And we're going to do this drill. To start, we are going to turn the hips. So when the hips are turned, so they're aligned or facing toward the front leg, that's called close. That's the closed position. When they're turned away from this from the front leg, that's called open. And the way that I like to think of it, think of a door closing and opening. If a door is closed, it can't move anymore. It's just kind of locked in place. When it's open, there's a lot of degrees of open, right? The door can be opened a lot of different degrees. So any of these positions here are kind of open. But once you go all the way toward this front leg, it's closed. It's locked in. So we are going to practice closing and opening with a weight shift in this stance. So the first aspect is turning the hips to close, and then we're going to shift the weight forward. All right. And then the next part, we're going to open the hips and shift back. So always turn first and then shift. That's not always the case in Tai Chi, but for this exercise, that's what we'll be doing. So we close, shift forward, open, shift back. Now be very mindful of your knees. If at any point, your knee is causing you discomfort, you can always skip the exercise or try to modify the position. I find that if you don't have such a big step, if it's a smaller step, it'll be a little easier on the knees because you don't have to bend them quite as much. The bigger the step you take, the more you have to kind of bend those knees. So just keep that in mind. But the main thing is just a nice little weight shift. And I almost feel like kind of drawing a circle with the hips. Close, forward, open, backward. Keeping the hips kind of neutral. And keeping the feet flat on the ground, especially the heels. The heels are almost always connected to the ground. I'll just show a side view, just a little more. Closing, forward, opening, backward. All right, one more time. All right, and switch, bring your feet back, open the other foot now. So 45 degrees, step forward, just in a comfortable position, place the foot down, and we'll do this drill on this side now. We close, so again, closing is always turning the hips toward the front leg. Come forward, open, back. One other thing with the knees to be very mindful of when you are turning the hips, like I'm doing, just be mindful of your knee. Sometimes what happens, when you're here, when you open, sometimes people do that. The knee kind of caves in. Don't let that knee cave in. If it caves in, it can obviously do a little bit of damage. So you don't want to be mindful of your knees. They should always be aligned over your feet. Don't let them cave in. So especially this open, keep that knee stable, and then back. Close. It's something that if you're not aware of, you might just tap in, and then your knees aren't going to be as happy. So it's a good exercise also to practice kind of the positioning of the joints as we move. All right, very good. And close. Okay, so with that in mind now, we're going to go over the movement series called Grasp the Bird's Tail. This is a very common movement, very iconic movement in Tai Chi, and has a lot of flow, very similar to what we were just doing. So we're going to open our foot, step into our bow stance. Now, if you are kind of mirroring me, you have your right leg forward. Put your left arm on top of an imaginary ball and the right arm underneath, holding the ball. We are in an open position to start. So my body's kind of facing the side. And the first part of Grasp Bird's Tail is warding off. So ward off, we imagine we're holding this ball and we're kind of spinning it backward, like so. Keep the shoulders relaxed. So that's all ward off is. We've just shifted our weight forward. My hips are still open. Let's do that again. Just spinning the ball. Really have that visualization of like holding a ball between your hands. One more time. Ward off. All right. The next move is called roll back. It kind of seamlessly follows this. We are going to close the hips as we just let the wrist rotate. All right. And then we shift back and open the hips again. So that's called roll back to your right and left. So put them together. Ward off. Roll back. Do it again. Ward off. Roll back. Good. Your left hand is just kind of resting near the hip. The right hand is just sort of out in front of the body comfortably. Elbows are bent. Shoulders should always be relaxed. One last time, and then we'll have the next move. Ward off. Roll back. Good. So weight is back, and we're open with the hips. Now we're going to close the hips, bringing our left hand against the right wrist, and then shift forward. This is called press. And then it's just really easy. The next move is quite simple, so we'll just add it as well. Withdraw, so separate the hands, shift the weight back, withdraw, and push. So putting that all together. Hand the ball. Ward off. Roll back. Turn the body to close and press. Withdraw and push. Withdraw and push. They stay in the closed position with the hips. All right, one more with these cues. All right, ward off, roll back, close the hips and press, withdraw and push. And now the movement, this whole series was called Grass Bird's Tail. So the image that I kind of imagine, I don't know if it's what you're supposed to be thinking, but what I always imagine whenever I do this movement is for warding off, it's like I'm holding a jar of bird seed. And as I ward off, I remove the jar or the lid of the jar. And then I spread the bird seed to the right and back to the left. A bird flies in, I catch him by the tail, I guess, bring him forward, let him go, and maybe there's a couple feathers floating, and I push the feathers away, dispel the feathers. So one more with that little image in mind. We have the bird seed, remove the jar as we ward off, spread the bird seed with our rolling back. The bird comes in, we catch him, kind of pressing, bring him forward, release to withdraw and push. All right, close. Very nice. Now the fun part, do it on the other side. So this is a move that's important to be ambidextrous with. So we're going to open our right foot now, step forward with your left, and we'll go through it. Now we're going to just run through the entire sequence since we have the idea of what it looks like. So warding off, again, like we're holding a ball, we rotate it backwards with this open position of the hips. Then roll back, we close the hips and shift back, opening the hips. Close the hips again before shifting, bringing your hand against the wrist and press. Withdraw and push. Going through the basic cues. We ward up, roll, back, close, and press, withdraw, and push. Good. Let's do that again. Ward, up, roll, back, close, press, withdraw, push. All right, now just using the image of the bird. Grasp the bird's tail is the name of the move. So I like to have this image where we have our hand, we're holding the jar here. Hand is on top of the lid. Remove the lid as we ward up. Roll back. We spread that bird seed from side to side, shifting back. And we catch the bird, bring him forward, release, and push away the feathers. We'll do that again. So we have the jar, remove the lid, bring it forward, spread the seed from side to side, catch the bird, bring him forward, release, and push the feathers away. And close. Nice job. So a good little review on grasp the bird's tail. I think we'll go ahead and just end there with some meditation and just focusing on some of the cues. I've mentioned this before that standing meditation is the foundation of Tai Chi. It's something that I would recommend to practice every day, even if it's just a couple minutes. And my master always emphasized doing it longer. He recommended doing it for at least an hour, which of course is a lot of time. So I'm not going to say do that, but when you do it for a longer period of time, give that time for your body to relax and to really become mindful of your posture and your breath. There are a lot of really powerful body awareness benefits. And my research in school, we saw significant improvements in balance just from practicing standing meditation. So it is something I would recommend to practice. So let's just spend another minute here of quiet practice, focused on your breath, and maintaining that gentle, upright posture. And just affirming yourself for putting in the practice today. Because every day of practice in Tai Chi is a little further. And even if the change isn't noticeable, there's big changes in your nervous system and really your whole body. So just quiet breath here. And we'll gently open the eyes if you close them and close.